Hello and welcome to another Epic 7 video where today we will not be discussing new facts about the lore. We won't be exploring anything new. We won't be explaining anything. I'm just going to point out some inconsistencies that I couldn't ignore once I got deeper into the lore. So let's begin with the first one. First, we begin with Chloe, an episode 3 character known as the prototype or the first doll. Now, Chloe, I won't explain what's her role in episode 3. The point is, she claims to be the queen of everything, which either had a stinky poo-poo moment with Charles, so he escaped the castle. When he escaped the castle, he wanted to visit his mother's graves, put some flowers, and then call it a day. And of course, on his way, he ran into Chloe. My big question is, how did he meet Chloe, an episode 3 character from Eureka, from Policia more specifically, all the way in the breezy plain? Like, what is Chloe doing at the mountains? Okay, that's number one. Number two, Chloe claims to be the queen of everything. I would imagine that she shows up at the castle and says, I'm the new queen of this place. But obviously that didn't happen. Point is, either escaped, ran into monsters, Chloe killed the monsters. Charles misunderstood this as Chloe's trying to assassinate either, so he prisons Chloe, and then either, like a Giga Chad, breaks Chloe out of prison. They make it to Hope's Monarch Road or something like that, and then either places his flowers on his mother's grave, which I don't understand. Why is his mother's grave so far away from the castle? And Chloe says, okay, once you become king, let's go out on a journey, which, good on Chloe. She consoled either into becoming king, and yet really early in the story, before even episode 3 released, at the very start of episode 2, it's established that either already ascended the throne and became king. So number one, Chloe did not go on a journey with either. And number two, Chloe, even after episode 3, still doesn't embark on a journey with either. I don't know. Sounds like at the release of the game, they didn't think much and they just released the story in a primitive way. I don't know. More on Chloe soon. Next up, we have command model Laika, support model Brinius, and of course, bomb model Kana. Now, the three of them were sent on a search to find the first doll, the prototype doll, Chloe. Of course, they only know Chloe by name. I don't know if they had any descriptions of Chloe, because when you look at prototype Chloe, she looks different from the Chloe we know. The point is, they went to Britannia thinking they could find Chloe in this area. Now, I don't understand. Of all the places they could have searched Tyrannor, they could have searched Dunbalira, they could have searched Izira, they could have searched Savara, they could have searched many places, but they chose Rengar, the worst place of humankind. Actually, if I were to compare any country in the world with Rengar, I would quite literally look at America and be like, yes, this is Ohio, this is the Enough about Rengar. Point is, they looked, they searched, they didn't find Chloe, so they left Tritania, and then they embarked to Sidonia, which, funny enough, is during episode 2. Brother, I don't know, if you see a god killer, maybe don't go there, ? Point is, support model Brinius interacts with Bray and Delena. Of course, they find nothing about Chloe there, and command model Laika and Kana interact with Rooster, Brester, I forgot her name, and of course Vivian. Naturally, Vivian knows nothing about Chloe. Facts, why would she know anything about Chloe? And then once they conclude that their search was unfruitful, they return back to Policia. Wow, Chloe. Hyping up her character only to cuck her later.
Hey, why don't you buy something? Come and take a look.
Shut the fuck up. So next up, I want to talk about Garu. This Damphir ? This vampire also ? I do know that they do name drop his race. He is supposedly a vampire, and I don't know about you, but when I look at Haste, when I look at Melissa, and then I look at Garu, I do not think he's a vampire. Or at least I do not think Melissa and Haste are vampires. Point is, Garu is a bartender, in Trill Castle, World's End Pub, that place, any place you want intel or information about other regions, you will find Garu. Point is, Garu somehow, somewhere, meets Yufine and quite literally adopts her, takes her under his care. Now, I just want to say, when he meets Yufine, she has amnesia, which, how? Why does she have amnesia? Point in question is, when he meets Yufine, when he brings her into custody, he lets her roam, he fed her, he raised her, ? I have no idea. One of these days, Yufine went to Solayu Forest. Again, it's not explained why she went to Solayu Forest. She just randomly went to Solayu Forest, met Charlotte, beat up Charlotte, then Charlotte beat up Yufine, and then they became best friends. Charlotte explains that she's looking for Cecilia. Cecilia being the Queen of Winterberg in Eureka. Now, Garu notices that Yufine has been having nightmares for as long as he knew her. And again, I just want to elaborate. Garu and Yufine's relationship is very, very close because Garu is quite literally referenced everywhere. Anytime Yufine is on screen, they reference Garu. She always says that Garu knows everything, Garu is smart, Garu is strong. I mean, hell, she literally has a line, Garu watch me. And during Yufine's event, she even does the money for information or information for money. Of course, they don't voice that, but it's in the shop if you want to check. I don't think you can check it right now, but if you played the game a few months ago, she quite literally references him word for word. Why am I saying this? Because when the dreams get a little too much, Garu calls Alencia, Yufine's aunt, and I just have a question. Alencia is very conservative. She doesn't interact with humans. And I understand Garu is not a human, but at the same time, the point still stands. Garu got intel about Alencia, okay? That's number one. Number two, he knew somehow that Alencia was Yufine's aunt or blood relative, okay? And then number three, he somehow got word to Alencia, who is a whole region away, okay? And then after getting that information to Alencia, Alencia comes to the World's End pub to pick up Yufine, which, crazy how that happened. Anyways, Yufine at first protests, but then she realizes, hold on a minute, if Alencia is going to Eureka and Winterberg is in Eureka, Yufine gets the big brain idea to call Charlotte. Alencia accepts, okay, you can bring Charlotte, thinking it's just a pet name. And then when Charlotte the human shows up, Yufine says, no, take backsies, and Alencia has to deal with it now. And that's how Charlotte went to Winterberg to meet Cecilia. What a story we have here. Let's talk about Cecilia next. So Cecilia has been a known character since a very long time, since the game's release, or at least really early into the game. The point is, Cecilia's first appearance is technically in Savara, where they hunt a wyvern, and I just want to say, was this order wrong? Because Cecilia's quote-unquote first chronological appearance is in the Breezy Plain. She was ambushed by Mukacha and his gang. Of course, Mukacha at the time was a thief because he was born into poverty and he wanted to get out of poverty that way because it's the only thing left, because he's a Suin and people were racist to him, so they didn't accept him at his jobs. Point is, after ambushing Cecilia, Cecilia beats him up and then she gives him a wyvern fang or a wyvern scale, saying this fetches a good price on the market. And then Mukacha realizes, hold on, now he's much better than he used to be, okay? Now he has a capital, now he has friends, now he has an opportunity. The world is not the same it was before. So Mukacha stops being a thief and joins the Farsh frontier with Kartuja, Ruzid, and the others in that alliance. Next up is, why did I say next up? Point is, Cecilia's technical first chronological appearance is in Breezy Plain, and she went to Savara with Ross, heir of the Covenant, to hunt a wyvern. Now, the reason she's hunting a wyvern is because Ross, heir of the Covenant, has a big debt. And I'm just wondering, like, did Ross, heir of the Covenant, just randomly call the Queen of Winterberg? Like, how did he contact her? Why is she there? Like, the timing is just too weird for it to happen. Also, Cecilia hunting a wyvern for the sake of wyvern claws that fetch good price on the market, blah blah blah. Didn't she just give Mukacha a wyvern claw? Like, what's up with that? Anyways, moving on. Cecilia's next appearance is in the Tyranor Castle. Now, in the Tyranor Castle, this is where the Archdemon War is about to conclude. I don't know how, but Cecilia and Tywin both summon a Chaos Gate. And when they summon a Chaos Gate, they bring their former armies to attack the Archdemon. And I'm just wondering, like, how did they control the Dark Star or the Chaos Star? My bad. I thought only strays can control the Chaos Star. And according to Violet, which this is established really early into episode 2, when Violet hopped through a Chaos Gate, the Chaos Gate immediately disappeared, and he had to wait a while before the Chaos Gate resurfaced so he can go back to Sidonia, which once again, it's established that if a Chaos Gate opens, there's no guarantee it opens again. And if it does open again, it might lead to another destination. So, I don't know. The writers are really vague about this, and they know how bullshit their explanation is. Because how did Tywin, a guard, not even a king, summon the Lefondos army? And how did Cecilia summon the Winterberg army? Does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Point is, when they were sieging the Archdemon's lair, the Tyranor Castle, the Lefondos army and the Winterberg army casually returned to their countries. Now, did they return through Chaos Gate or did they return through some other means? I have no idea. And another thing that did kind of piss me off is that whenever there is an Archdemon war, a barrier is placed around Britannia. No one can enter, no one can leave. This is established by Lunaris because just in case the Archdemon wins, DJ can reset the world, wipe out memories, blah blah blah, long list of things. Which again makes me wonder, how did Cecilia enter Britannia when there is a barrier made by a god? Not only that, Tywin and Roman are also within Britannia when this barrier is up. Again, how did they enter? Okay, leaving it is easy because obviously the Archdemon War is concluded. It's just weird to me that they entered, okay? Now that we got that out of the way, it's implied that Cecilia was looking for Luna. Why? We cannot disclose that. Now, when she looks for Luna, again, it's implied she left alone. And then we have a Dragon Knight, Rose. Rose left to find Cecilia. And here's where things get even weirder. Rose attacks Heir of the Covenant in the Tyranor castle siege because, at least according to my theory, is that she was mind-controlled by Tenebria, which makes a lot of sense. But then in unrecorded history, Rose reappears again and attacks Heir of the Covenant again, even though Tenebria's influence should have been gone by then. And post-battle, Ross and Rose don't even talk. She doesn't even thank him. Yo, thank you for breaking me out of Tenebria's spell. It's never implied that Ross knocked her out. Personally, okay, I think when I read that dialogue, I thought he straight up killed Rose, but that wasn't the case apparently, which Rose, after being knocked out, went to Rhaengar searching for Cecilia there. And she roughed up a few people, a few students, and then she made a gang to search for Cecilia, which is what inspired her high school skin, which I don't even know why they made her from a Dragon Knight into a high schooler, but I'm past the point of questioning it. And then when she was like goofing around with her gang, Numinous, another episode 3 character, shows up, tells Rose that Cecilia is back in Winterberg, and then Rose gets a heart attack. Not literally, but like she literally gets a stroke, choking on air, saying, "What? When did that happen?" All that stuff. And I'm just wondering, didn't Cecilia siege the Tyranor castle? Didn't Ross beat Rose in the Tyranor castle siege? How did Rose not recognize the Winterberg army? How did Rose not find Cecilia when Cecilia was literally leading the front line? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Episode 1 and episode 3, man. This is my last complaint and the least relevant one. In Natalon, Ken made Hua Young his sensei. Again, Hua Young never agreed to take care of Ken, never agreed to teach of Ken. Brother just showed up, said, "You're my sensei," and they rolled with it. Ken took the Samsara prayer beads, and apparently it chose him as its master, whatever that means. And then Hua Young locked him up in a prison cell. Not really, she locked him underground, saying, "You must survive here for a month. And if you do, then you are, quite literally, the master of the Samsara prayer beads." And 1 month later, Hua Young doesn't find him. And then turns out he's in Britannia. Somehow. And once again, just like Eugene, Ken has amnesia and doesn't remember his past. 10 out of 10 story writing. Look, man, I don't hate the game, okay? I mean, I kind of do. It's an abusive relationship. But I want it to do better, which is why I'm criticizing it, which is why I'm making this video, taking out my frustration. How did Ken make it from Natalon to Britannia, man? They released so many characters early into the game that I don't think they ever processed what will they do in the story. Chloe, Ken, Cecilia, T-Win, Rose. Clearly. It just is what it is. See you next time.